And ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another. I don't know. Maybe there is. I know my grandma said she watches. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Hey, Grandma. Love you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another RotoHackers Podcast. We're the unauthorized reporters of fantasy football news and information. My name is AJ Herschel, also known as the Kid. Over there, that is Judahbuddha. And over there, y'all know it's the absolute stud. It's Jared. And
it never gets old.
It is week 14, everyone, getting into the waiver wire in week 14, meaning this could be championship quarterfinals for some and last chance to get into the playoffs for many. Gentlemen, how was your week last week? Week 13.
Well, I didn't win two ones I really wanted to win. But my $100 league I won, and I'm in the quarterfinals this week. Actually, I'm in the quarterfinals in 2/3 of my league. I'm actually only waiting on two leagues that I care about. Two leagues that I didn't pay for and I don't know who the people are. You know, it's a free league. I just started it because I was jonesing to draft.
Interesting.
How about you, Jared?
I had my worst week yet, and I'm probably happier than any other week though, because most of them it just doesn't matter. Most of them were already in the playoffs, and I did pretty well in the ones that I needed to win. I lost a couple that they just had an outside chance of making the playoffs. The rest of them did pretty well. So basically, going into the last week, 12 of my 17 are pretty well locked in to the playoffs. 11 are locked in. One of them could lose if it loses and two other teams win, and they also beat me in points. And it's such a complicated scenario that if I lose,
happening.
Well, if it does, I'm just going to be all right, I guess that was meant to be. So
yeah.
But then I'll have two games that'll be decided next week. So so it's kind of interesting to see where there's one league I have where I really had to win the last 2 weeks in order to make sure that I got in, and that team is 9-5. There's a guy below me that's 8-4. He's probably going to win next week, and he's probably going to miss the playoffs at 9-5. And then I have another league on the flip side where there are three of us vying for that fourth seed at 6 and 7. We're all projected to lose next week, and I could get in. And right now I've got a 5-point lead in the point standings, and so I could get in with a 6 and 8 team. So that's just the craziness of it.
It's a crazy season.
Reminiscent of those 7 and 9 Seahawks. That's how Beast Mode started, if you remember.
Yeah.
I also had one of my worst weeks ever as well. It doesn't matter a lot because half of my leagues I'm already locked in, but there are a couple that I'm frustrated about. So my friend and I, there's a league where a friend and I are playing against each other, and if whoever wins that game will go to the playoffs if my other friend loses. But the person
is that Bigley?
Yeah, it's Bigley. But the person who we need to lose is playing someone who doesn't pay attention. So we are just spam texting the guy saying, "Set your lineup this week, please. We need to get in the playoffs."
I messaged a guy in that 6 and 8 league I'm in where I'm playing the top seed this week, and so I'm like, look, from my perspective, I think you would rather play me in the first round of the playoffs than one of these other guys who have better teams than I do.
Gotcha.
So I'm saying, if you want to take it easy on me, I'm just saying it might be in your best interests. So.
Wow. Anything you can.
Hey, you got it. That's right. You got to go all in.
Yep. Thomas H, Omar Brea, thank you guys for tuning in. Thomas H actually was here before we even started once again. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what he's got notifications on or something. Omar, thanks for tuning in. It's been a hot minute.
Omar.
Good to see you again.
Hey, Omar, I hope you made your money leagues. Tell us about what your week was like.
Yeah, we want to hear about you guys. See how it was.
Oh, one thing that happened is I overtook Jared as number one in our league.
Oh,
He did.
no.
Yeah, my team has just been garbage lately, but it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care which one of those two teams.
It kind of does, because I'm looking at like who we would play on week 15. I don't want to play that guy with he's got Mahomes and Tyreek and Super something Black Shadow. I don't know, something like that.
Oh, Shadow. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly have tried to like sort of game the system in playoffs before, and most of the I've been still successful, but a lot of times it's the teams that you think like, oh, that team's set up, I don't want to play them, I want to play this other one, and it's the reverse of what you think it's going to be. I mean, sooner or later it's got to play out the way I think it's going to go, but every other time yeah, it's going to be interesting because you're playing the Shadow guy.
I'm playing him this week.
Yeah. But like, if you beat him, I mean, it could still play out like different ways. But if you beat him,
it's weird. If I beat him, then like I remain in first, and he drops to like fourth, and I still play him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. If it's a really obvious case, and I can sort of pick who I'm going to play, sometimes I'll do it. But this year, I'm just not really in a position to, basically throw a game in order to get a better opponent. Yeah. And but I feel better about it because Andy Behrens from Yahoo basically just endorsed that this week, so on his little fantasy court thing. So
Omar Bray's got a question for us. He says Lamar Jackson's been saving him. He's 7-6. He's got Beckham and Jarvis Landry this week, or Chris Godwin and a Browns wide receiver. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So two of those three?
Yeah, two of those two.
I just go Beckham, Jarvis. Like,
really?
I don't with Godwin, you don't know if it's going to be Godwin time or Evans time, It's
true, but Godwin's got a pretty safe floor for the most part. His floor is like 10
7 points. Yeah, I'd rather take the floor of Beckham and Jarvis versus.
Dude, the floor for Odell this year has rotted through.
No, it has. Look, I agree, but this is a really good matchup, and he's due.
Maybe. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, he's had. Talking about 4 points. I mean, he had 4.4 against Pitt. I don't know. That would be a tough one for me to sit Godwin. I mean, I guess
Indiana though. Godwin's playing Indiana. They're in like a must-win situation. Like, if they're any chance of getting in the playoffs, they have to win out.
Yeah. I mean, Godwin's, let's see, 3 times this season he's been in single digits. I mean, normally he's got like a 10.5 point, normally he's going to get you 10.5 or better. So, I would have a hard time not going like Godwin and Jarvis, but I guess it does kind of depend on your situation too. Like, if you're projected to win, like fairly comfortably, if it's some scenario like that, like where, last week I said, maybe you could play both of those Chiefs running backs, if it was the right situation. And I guess actually that would have worked out better because the other scenario was Metcalf Michelle, wasn't it?
I think that it was a wash. They all ended up scoring like a touchdown, a couple yards.
It wasn't a huge difference, but it was
actually Metcalf was probably the lowest. No, Michelle was the
lowest, and I think Metcalf
had like 60 yards, something like that.
Yeah, I don't
40
remember
yards maybe. Yeah.
I don't remember what his yardage was, but yeah,
I should have probably played both of them, like you said, but I played what's his name? I played Shady
Metcalf.
I played Shady and
Michelle.
Michelle.
Yeah,
I still won.
That's good. Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think
on this one?
Yeah.
I would go Jarvis and Godwin. I don't know. Cincinnati is like they've got like a weird pass defense where they actually
pass rush is starting to come on.
Yeah, and they haven't given up. I'd have to look and see, but I looked at it. I think going into the week because I was thinking of playing Darnold in some leagues, and I ended up playing him only in one. But they've actually, like, against wide receivers, they haven't given up a ton of touchdowns. They're sort of middle of the road. So actually they've given up the 11th fewest points to wide receivers. So, you're just on the borderline of being a like top third in the league against receivers. So as shaky as that connection between Odell and Baker's been this season, Jarvis has just been his go-to guy. Godwin has had a safe floor. I'd go Godwin and Jarvis.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. Because Jarvis has just been more consistent. It's that simple. Odell could get 14, but he also could get 5. Jarvis hasn't gotten under 9 since week 8. So I like Jarvis a lot. And Godwin's Godwin. He's Godwin. He's either going to get you 10 or he's going to get you 50. It's going to be one of the two.
Well, or single digits.
Yeah, but that's only happened 3 times. That's a lot less than what Odell's done.
And the Colts tend to not. You were making the point last week, Judah, about how the games where Evans has gone off over Godwin tends to be the games where they can throw the ball down the field more. The Colts tend to play more of a don't give up
conservative.
They more conservative, don't give up the big play. So I think there's going to be opportunity for, Godwin to catch a lot of balls underneath and run.
Yeah. Also, especially.
But if they play, I guess you're right. What was that?
Judahbuddha, I just fact checked this. Godwin's fallen under 10 points 3 times. Odell's fallen under 10 points 7 times.
Yeah, but
that's over
Godwin's
half
not
of the
Odell.
He scores how many points.
I mean, both of them.
Odell, but at some point you got to think, how much are we trusting Odell just off of name value? Because he's Odell.
No. It doesn't have to do with name value. It has to do with skill, raw skill. Godwin is skilled, but he's more situation than he is skill.
But it also has to do with targets too, and who's getting the ball thrown to him. So, Beckham, he's gotten more. He had a stretch of having double-digit targets for a couple games, but 4 out of the last 6, he's been in single digits, averaged about between 6 and 7 targets a game. Godwin, I don't remember what he's done lately on the season. So. Roughly about the same, but Jameis just tends to. We've seen the connection between Jameis and Godwin. It's just been there consistently. Whereas Odell and Baker, they just don't ever seem to be on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest problem. Somebody mentioned this. One of the announcers was. It was Maurice Jones-Drew. He was talking about how
MJD.
in practice, they're putting 2 people on, they're double covering him, and he's just like he's not able to break out of this, like Odell's double covered, go somewhere else. Like he as an inexperienced thrower, he's just not able to break out of that. I see 2 over there, I see 1 over there, I throw over there. But I mean that's something that he could break at any time.
Yeah, but let's also keep in mind that Odell's only had 1 game over 20 points.
Past box scores are not a direct indication of future success.
Even recent trends. I mean, you can. I don't know.
He's had terrible matchups.
Okay,
this is not a terrible matchup.
Omar, basically, Jared and I are going Jarvis and Godwin. If you want to take a risk, you can go with Judahbuddha and go the double Browns.
Godwin's a risk. I own him.
A bigger risk than Odell?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. I would bet. I mean, yeah, Odell's burned all of us. But
Godwin hasn't burned us yet.
In fantasy, he has.
No, he hasn't. He
a couple of weeks he has burned us bad.
Odell could make up for it in week 15 because he could have a huge game against the Cardinals.
There you go.
He could have a huge game against Cincinnati. The only thing
he could have a huge game any day, but I don't think he's going to against Cincinnati.
The only thing Cincinnati's defense has increased, has gotten better with, is their pass rush, and the Browns. The Browns offensive line has gotten pretty healthy and stronger in the last couple of weeks.
And
not to
Odell
mention
hasn't done much in the last couple of weeks.
Well, they've had tougher matchups and they've been in terrible game scripts. They're not going to be in. Look, Cincinnati was hungry for that last win. They're not trying to win anymore. I guarantee you. They're not trying to win out.
Yeah, because then they lose Joe Burrow and all hope is lost.
They really wanted to win that one because it was like a winnable match. It was, they're stupid. They should have won against
Dolphins?
No, Pittsburgh. The Dolphins. You're right, because they have their pick, right? No. They have Pittsburgh's pick.
Mm.
And so if the more Pittsburgh loses, the more they do well, right?
So the Dolphins have Pittsburgh's pick.
Yes. Oh, the Dolphins have Pittsburgh's pick.
Yeah, because they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think, ownership wants them to lose, but like a rookie head coach, he wants to win. Like he's worried about setting I think a lot of, even though it would be better for them to just tank in a lot of ways, players want to win. You've got, they're going out there getting trash talked by the other guys. You've got, a rookie head coach who, wants to have a career ahead of him. So
you don't want to set a depressing, precedent. I get that, but still, come on.
Right. Yeah.
They're not going to be a real tough defense.
All right.
21st in terms of the passing touchdowns they've given up. They've only given up 16. So
bet me.
I am losing count of all of our bets here. We have Ridley and John Brown. We have Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon, who's going to annihilate that one.
Obviously, no. They're he's only 5 points ahead of him. That's not losing count. That's pretty easy. One,
no. But every single time you start trying to come up with more. So then there was another one where you wanted to do Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, and then
I'll do Aaron Jones against anybody. Had a huge week this week. Made all of 5 points. Man,
That's how he is.
That is.
But for the record, Henry scored 7 more points than Mixon did. A full touchdown.
No.
Continue, Jared.
No.
15 to 22. I just checked.
Then you have these. These
7
predictions of so and so is going to win out, and so we're
those are crazy.
We're getting it. Yeah, I lost count of the teams that were going to win out. It was like the Browns and the Chargers.
The Ravens were going to tank. Don't forget that.
What?
Right.
Yeah, you said the Ravens. You said the Ravens were going to lose like 3 weeks in a row.
No.
Yeah, you said they were going to lose to the Texans. You said they were going to have a bad week against the Bengals. They scored 40 points.
You said they could lose.
No, okay. 7-10. Good to have you with us. He made the playoffs as a 4 seed. Unfortunately, his opponent's got Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I know the feeling of having Lamar Jackson.
It's the thing about the playoffs this year is it's really going to be interesting because it seems like this year more than other years that I can remember. There are just like scary guys that you're like, oh man, if I have to play that guy, like McCaffrey or Lamar Jackson or somebody like that. But on the opposite side, you've got them. If you have them and they've done well all season, you're like,
you're also scared.
Please don't be the week that you bust
so much.
And so it's just it's this like conflicting emotions of not knowing what's going to happen there.
Well, you know what's interesting is I have not been number one for so long that I forgot in the quarterfinals you get a bye. And so like I was all like looking at this week's matchups, like what's going on?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even play this week.
Yeah.
Because it's a little difficult because Lamar has a difficult matchup this week. I think he's playing.
He's in Buffalo, yeah. So that's, but
that's not the one I was thinking of. There was maybe it wasn't Lamar then, but it was a couple of my players. Buffalo is sort of hard. It's like one of his harder ones.
They're a tough defense, yeah.
But there was a couple of matchups I was like, oh man, and I was like,
yeah. Well, Lamar next week, it's really going to be scary if you're playing Lamar because next week they get the Jets at home. I mean, he could have he could have a 40-point game next week.
Yeah.
But you have him in a lot of leagues, don't you?
Oh yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
Samuel Wilson had a rough week as Hunter Henry and Sam Darnold let him down. Yeah. Guess what? Nick Foles got me 0.98.
Yeah.
Negative 0.98.
Yeah.
And also he got burned by Lockett getting him 0 points.
My mood would be dramatically different if I hadn't swapped out Tyler Lockett for DeAndre Hopkins at the last minute. It was in that league where, like I said, like there's like four of us that are 9-5 or 9-4, and one that's 8-5. And if I hadn't, I would have lost that game. And this week I'm in a game I would probably lose, and the other guy is in a game he'll probably win, and I would have lost and had the most points in the league but missed the playoffs. And it was
going back and looking at that game, he was wide open on several plays, and Wilson wasn't even looking his way.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Like I just got too spooked because I was only trailing by 7.5 in that game, and so I'm like, all right, the Patriots defense. I thought the Patriots defense could get me 3 or 4, and I thought Hopkins will get me 3 or 4. Well, it ended up being like close until the end because I was trailing by a half a point, and then Hopkins finally got a couple of catches, and then he threw that touchdown. But I just decided, like, man, Tyler Lockett, his usage has been so screwy since he hurt his leg in that Monday night game against San Francisco. So and he had the flu this week, and I was just worried. And so I'm like, okay, I feel better about Hopkins getting 4 or 5 points. I don't think he's going to go off, but I think he could get, he'll definitely get 4 or 5 points. Whereas
Lockett, he could go off.
And I didn't think he was going to go off against the Patriots, but Lockett, I felt like there was better potential there. But man, I can't. That's crazy. Just no catches. Now, like unless he has a good game next week, like I don't know how you trust him for the playoffs. I don't know how you don't just sit him.
It'll be hard to sit him.
Depending on what your options are.
Yeah.
And moving on, 710 said he drafted Odell in one league at the back of the first round, and he's the worst team.
Yep. A lot of those like late first or second round picks have killed people this year. You think about the guys that went in that range where Odell, Juju, Joe Mixon, Damian Williams. Yeah. Like basically, if you didn't take Dalvin Cook in the second round, you probably screwed yourself over. So
Freeman has been abysmal.
Yeah. Except Travis Kelce hasn't been too bad. He was going second round.
Yeah, that's true. Kelce was the second round.
He hasn't been first round good.
No, second round. He was going about pick 14.
He's finally
been second round good.
Well, he's come on more later in the season. When it first started out, it was pretty, for him at least, pretty pedestrian where he was just getting a lot of like 10, 12, 7, that type of thing. And then he's had 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's had 17, 18.7. So But yeah, it's been a much better year for tight ends than it was last year, to where really he wasn't worth a second round pick for what he's been, but compared to the others, he was still at least solid.
Did you see how my boy Jaden Graham did?
He caught a touchdown. Yeah, I did.
12 points.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That was a good call.
Mm-hmm. All right. 710 asks a question that almost nobody else asks. Thank you very much. He says, who should he try to get for kicker and defense?
It's hard this year.
If I've said it twice on the podcast, I've said it twice on the podcast. Kickers and defenses. What do you guys think? Well, there's a couple intriguing ones.
Yeah, I mean, the big ones, New England, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, they're all going to be gone.
Yeah.
You know who I went and got was Seahawks. They're not particularly good. They got a good pass rush though, and their schedule is not too bad for the playoffs. They got at least one good game. I can't remember who they play, but
they're only 39% 0-2. You could probably find them.
Yeah, they're the only ones I could find.
Which actually begs a good question, because Thomas H will come back to your question right at the beginning. But so we got Seattle from Judahbuddha. Jared, you got a good defense pickup for this week?
I think you don't want to use them this week, but I think Kansas City could be a pretty good one. They've had 33 points total in the last 2 weeks. And of course they've got New England this week, but then they've got Denver at home in week 15. Probably Drew Lock again, and Drew Lock started off well against the Chargers, but kind of fizzled after that. So playing a road game in his, probably what's going to be his third career game. Arrowhead's just a tough place to play.
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs go to Chicago in week 16. So yeah, I think the Chiefs could be a solid one.
Also, another one
for this week.
Yeah.
Another one's New Orleans. We got to talk about the news.
Yeah.
They're playing North Carolina in week 16, I think, or 15.
North Carolina.
They get
17.
The Colts.
No, they get the Colts and Tennessee. Shoot.
Yeah. But they get.
But we still have to talk about the news. Yeah, there's a lot of teams that you can't play this week, but if you're holding for the this
week there's not a whole lot on the waiver wire. Like if Green Bay is still out there, they host Washington. Maybe you want to roll the dice, even though Minnesota's defense hasn't been great. What's the guy's name again?
Bo Scarborough.
No, you're talking about
the quarterback.
Blau.
Blau.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. His first career road game in a dome. Yeah. I think they could rattle him. But
the best one I've heard is Mr. Blau. I'll say it again. Mr. Blau.
Oh.
Yeah.
Simpsons. So this is a tough week for defenses.
Another really deep dive, if you're like really hurting for defenses, you could get Carolina, because I'm not a believer in Chicago. That much of a believer in Chicago. Sorry, not Carolina. Dallas. My bad. Dallas, because they're playing Chicago this week. So it could work out, but that's a pretty big dice roll. What do you guys think about kicker?
That's almost impossible to figure out.
This is a shaky. If you don't have like
Bucker, Lutz.
Yeah,
Bucker's out there. You could probably get Bucker, but he's playing New England. I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, Bucker's 95% owned, dude.
Well, he's on my waiver wire.
Pick him up.
Yeah.
Prater?
It's tough. I mean, Prater but look at the quarterback. I mean,
he didn't do terrible against Chicago. Let's give him credit. He didn't do terrible.
He played well, but he played well for like the scripted play portion of the game, and then after that, the Detroit's offense didn't do a whole lot. Maybe you could go back to Robbie Gould after this week. They're going to get Atlanta. Maybe you could go with Seattle's kicker Myers.
Dan Bailey also. Dan Bailey.
I don't trust Dan Bailey.
Yeah, but I mean, depending on how many teams are in your league, you may not have another option.
Yeah.
Well, you know who my favorite is of all of them is Steven Hauschka. He hasn't done great this season. He's done about average, but I think he's going to finish strong. I think his team is going to have to rely a lot more on the kick. I think they're going to get they're going to get in the red zone enough. Buffalo's going to get in the red zone.
They're playing Pittsburgh's defense in New England for the last 2 weeks, by the way.
Yeah, I think that could be a good thing.
I mean, he's only
done better.
He's only been in double digits twice all season, and both games were against Miami. So, no, I'm not touching him.
7-10 for defense, by the way, says Packers and Rams are available. He has the Panthers currently.
Packers.
Who are the Rams playing again? They're playing
Seattle, I think, this week.
Oh, yeah.
Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, Packers. The Panthers didn't have a run defense already, and then they lost Poe.
Yeah.
And then Peterson and Geis both basically ran on them for 100 yards. I mean, I think AP was at like 99. But Geis had, 120 something. So basically 200 yards from the running backs against the Redskins, who can't throw the ball to keep you honest. So I don't want any part of the Panthers defense the rest of the way.
So what do you guys think of the news?
By the way, before we get into the news real quick, by the way, Luke Ojeda, what's up? Thanks for tuning in.
Luke.
It's been a hot minute since we've had you tune in. Thanks for tuning in, man. Got any questions? We're here.
So what do you guys think of Riverboat Rivera being let go?
I was shocked, honestly.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised at the timing because I've got like 3 close friends that are Panthers fans. They're from North Carolina. Yeah. And one of them had told me that in Rivera's press conference, maybe yesterday, maybe it was his Monday. I don't know if it was the post game or on Sunday or the one yesterday. He basically said like he had a meeting with the owner, and I forget how I phrased it, but it was basically 100% clear. Like, he's getting fired at the end. He's getting fired. I assumed at the end of the year. The thing that struck me as weird about this is like, this is a weird time. Like you see a lot of coaches get fired with like a week or 2 left in the season. Yeah. You see a lot of coaches get fired like in the middle of the year on the bye week or something. You don't usually see them get fired with like 4 games left or something. Yeah. That's just an odd, and on a Tuesday as opposed to just like Monday morning right after the game. So that was interesting.
Yeah. My biggest question was why? Like what good does it do firing him now as opposed to the end of the year?
The only thing like somebody was talking about, and I don't know how much of a difference this really makes, because you could have still talked to the guy regardless, unless they just didn't want to go behind Rivera's back or whatever. But someone was talking about like, okay, well, with the college season coming to a close, maybe they've got their eye on like a Lincoln Riley or someone like that they want to start. They want to go ahead and start like, setting up that situation. So I don't know, that wasn't my theory, but somebody else put it out there and I was like, oh yeah, that makes maybe some sense, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think the kicker that got him knocked out was the loss to the Redskins.
Yeah.
That killed it. I mean, they lost their 4 straight in 5 out of their last 6. And that included a loss to the all new, all different, we're good for 2 weeks Atlanta Falcons and the Redskins. So, I mean, as soon as I heard it, I was super surprised. And then I looked at their schedule and I'm like, maybe it's not that surprising. He's going to get picked up somewhere for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carolina, time's expired.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's a new owner, relatively new owner. Yeah. They want to bring in their own guys. It's like any business, when someone takes over, they typically want to have their own people. And if you look at, kind of the situation that Carolina's looking at, they've got some pieces, especially on offense. But is Kyle Allen the guy? And so I think you're going to see them try to do like what a lot of these other teams have done with a young quarterback is go and get an offensive minded young coach to come in and sort of be like a quarterback guru, either for Kyle Allen or if they use their draft pick on someone.
Mm-hmm. Ray Gibson is here. Good to see you. He asked, which quarterback should he pick up off the waiver wire for the playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? Yeah, it's week 14. That's a little Colts joke for you there, Jared.
You got anybody, Judah? Oh, yeah, Jim Moore. Yeah. I've got somebody. You got somebody, Judah? You don't?
Which QB would you pick off the waiver? Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Fitz Pumpkin, man.
Fitz Magic.
Yep.
7-10's with us on this one.
Yep. That was who I was going to say, too. I mean, it depends. If you've got...
I wanted to pick him up 2 weeks ago, and I wish I had.
But what do you even need him for, though? Like, I mean, when you don't have Lamar...
Where I don't have Lamar, I have Dak, and Dak has just been not good, and I'm worried about his matchup, and I'm worried about his team. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see it on that one. I was gonna say, like, if you've got Lamar, but yeah, for Dak, that's gonna be an interesting one when Dak has the Rams. That's one that I'm unsure on too. Like, do you play him? I think I am gonna play him because he's at home.
The Rams.
He gets the Rams in week 15, not this week, but I'm saying like in the playoffs in week 15. It's Rams at Cowboys in week 15.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm too worried about the Rams. I think it was week 16 that scared me. Who's he got 16?
At the Eagles. And I mean, the Eagles have been better, but I don't know if that's scary.
That's not scary. I don't know. Maybe it was the Rams I was looking at, but it's just the way he's been playing, the way his whole team has been playing. I mean, they lost.
And the Cowboys normally like fall apart in December.
Yeah,
like that's normally the Cowboys' MO is to just crumble in December. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't know. I don't have very many choices. Fitzpatrick is the only one on the waiver wire. I'm certainly not going to take like Minshew or something like that.
No, Minshew would be a desperation. Like most of my leagues, I had Stafford. I'm like, oh, I'm set up. I got Stafford, and he's got Tampa, and then he gets hurt.
He might come back.
I don't think he's going to come back. They still said he's week to week, and so that means he's not playing this week, and I don't think he's coming back. Basically, they said that I think they just didn't put him on IR because they said something effective. They didn't put him on IR like out of respect for him or something because he's such a competitor. I think it's possible that he could come back for week 16, but then he's got the Broncos in Denver, and that's not a friendly pass defense. So, I held on to him for a while, and then I finally gave up on it. But I think like I've got Baker in some leagues. Again, we just saw what Jared Goff like the Cardinals pass defense or lack thereof resurrected Jared Goff. So I think they can do good things for Baker. So I've got some Baker, I've got some Lamar, Dak. Who else do I have? But there will be probably a couple of leagues where I throw a prayer on Fitzgerald or Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. The only danger for Mayfield for me, I had him in a couple places, and then I realized, oh, he's got Baltimore in week 16. That's a problem.
Yeah. He's not a week 16. He would just be a week 15 guy for me.
Mayfield?
Yeah. He's got Cincinnati, Arizona, then Baltimore, so definitely not championship.
Yeah.
Sorry, you about to say something?
Nope. I was going to say, what about the... Yeah, go ahead.
Luke Ojeda's got an important match this week. He says he's got Fitzgerald and Robbie Anderson. He wants to put his best wide receiver out there. Which one is best to play?
Man, this
is a tough one.
It is a tough one. Is there not?
Maybe you should go to the waiver wire.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Let's see, like some wide receivers that may be on the waiver wire that are better than those guys. I bet you could get like Danny Amendola to me would be better than those
Damn
guys.
it, Amendola.
Wow.
Watch it. AJ Brown might even be better.
I don't think Amendola is better. Definitely not, though, because he's playing. No, I'll just say no.
I wouldn't trust him with Blau.
Blau?
Yeah.
Yeah, Robbie. It's interesting. Robbie's had 2 back-to-back good games, and so it's almost like last season again. It's almost like that little stretch run he had last season where he had like 4 good games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But he's hard to trust.
Yeah. He's got Miami though.
Yeah,
but
it's Miami.
But
he
last
had him
time
before.
he didn't do well against him last time. Which Sam Darnold is at home.
Yeah,
and Sam Darnold is just like he's like a young Ben Roethlisberger, where he just can't play on the road. He is just trash on the road. You can, I think, trust him more at home, but
would you choose? But he's got Fitzgerald, who's playing Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I couldn't throw. I don't think Fitz out there against Pittsburgh.
I think I'd do Fitz. No, Fitzgerald. No.
Yeah,
I was thinking Fitzpatrick. I'd go Anderson.
Yeah, I would. Out of those 2, I would take it. But there's probably. I feel like there's probably a better option. Is D.D. Westbrook on your waiver wire? Is a guy that I actually picked up preemptively because I saw the Arizona matchup, but now I'm kind of skittish on him because he's had two back-to-back really good weeks. He's only 23% owned, but James Washington has finally become a thing. 3 out of the last 4 games, he's had 16 points, 17.3, and 19.1. His only kind of down game was at Cleveland. It's hard to trust any Pittsburgh receiver with Duck throwing to him. And we don't know. Let's see. I think no. They already said that Juju isn't going to play for this week, I think. So I think
Duck Hodges, though, man. Duck Hodges.
But that's his target, though.
But that's his guy.
Yeah.
And it's Arizona, and they made Jared Goff look like a superstar. So,
you know what though? I bet you Devontae Parker or
Parker's not on the waiver wire. You're not going to say Parker's on the waiver wire, are you?
I bet he is.
He might be.
Tyler Boyd.
I would love to be in leagues where Devontae Parker is still on the waiver wire. I only have him in one league, my 250 league. He's 81% owned. I don't know how he is only 81% owned. But
probably because people just look and see Dolphins. No,
I guess, man. But Dolphins,
I don't want to pick him up.
You don't want.
We're advocating for Fitzmagic, and in his last 5 games, he's put up 12 or more points, with last week going up against 31, and he's got the Jets and the Giants.
I don't know.
Devontae Parker he's been what people thought he was going to be like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He's been that way for the last 3 weeks, but
no. It's been longer than that. It's been longer than that.
Off and on. I mean, going back, you got 31, 12, 17, 9.
That's fine.
13, 8.
So apart from the first 3 weeks of the season, since then, he's been in double digits every week, except for there were 2 weeks where basically he had 9 points each week. One was 8.9 and one was 9.4. But I mean,
that's not bad.
That is a good wide receiver too, like a guy that you can count on.
I wouldn't ever say I could count on him, but okay.
Who else are they? They've got bad defenses, and who else are they going to throw to?
All right, there we go. Luke's going to knock 2 people out to get to the playoffs. Good luck with that. Good luck. See what happens. Got your advice right from the RotoHackers. And I know we got some questions in the comments, but really quick, if this will work, I am going to shamelessly plug our advertisement if it will ever load. Ladies and gentlemen, if we reach 100 views on an episode, we'll be giving away 3 free RotoHackers T-shirts.
Hey, click on the blue version. I like the blue version.
The light blue or the medium blue?
Yeah, light blue. Let's
this
see.
one.
Ooh, that's good. Dark blue, dark blue, dark blue.
All right, we'll go
light blue's pretty nice too.
I like the dark blue. Look at that.
There you go.
Fine too.
It does look very Carolina Panthery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go. You got Judahbuddha, AJ Herschel, and the absolute stud right there. Giving away 3 free ones when we reach 100 on an episode. We've got to 91 once.
We did?
We got to 91 once. Yep, we're close. We're close.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to go down now though, because we're losing the people that have like fallen out of contention. You know, they're back to the point where it's like, I hate fantasy football. I'll never play fantasy football again. And then of course they'll sign up for 14.
Exactly. There you go. The link is now in the description if you want to go look at it. Also, check out the rest of our score. We got dark variants as well if you want to go get one of those. We're giving out 3 as soon as we hit 100 views on an episode. As soon as that happens. Lugo Hayden is going to go ahead and check those out. And while he's going and looking at the our merch, Claudio Jenkins is here. What's up, man? Good to see you again. Crypto EE played Eckler and Miles Sanders and is going to the playoffs.
Nice.
Well done, good sir. Congratulations.
Yeah, I played some Miles Sanders. I didn't have Eckler anywhere, but Miles and AJ, or not AJ, Alshon.
Alshon did well.
They both delivered.
So Alshon limped off at the end of the game. I'm a little worried. I need Alshon to perform again next week. What do you guys think?
I mean, he's just always hurt. So
yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't even have to guess whether or not he's hurt. Of course he's hurt. So it's just a question of, is he going to try to play through it or not? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even think he's on the injury list, but it just bothered me to see him. I guess you're right. He's just always nicked up.
Trust me, he was in Chicago and we ruined him. So my personal apologies, Alshon. 7-10 was going to start Fitzgerald, Robbie Anderson, and D.D. Westbrook. Maybe he should use the waiver. You think he should use the waiver wire?
I mean, I don't know if those are if you're going to start all 3 of them, that's an and. So if those are what you've got, like, if those are your 1, 2, and 3, I don't know what's on your waiver wire.
Who's RA again? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I guess Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Die's been pretty reliable, whether it's been Foles or Minshew. He's not gonna, he hasn't been blowing up, but he can get you double digits. Fitzgerald that's a tough sell for me against Pittsburgh. Yeah. And we kind of talked, I don't know if you saw one of the other questions before asking us about Fitzgerald or Robbie Anderson, and
right before that, actually.
We kind of begrudgingly went with Robbie Anderson, even though we kind of felt like maybe there are some better options. But that was for playing one of those. If those are your top 3, if you're having to play all 3, I don't know what's on your waiver wire.
Well, tonight is waiver wire. Would you, if Darius Slayton, who's only 27% owned in Yahoo leagues, would you go for Darius Slayton instead of at least one of those guys? Got a good matchup.
Yeah,
I mean, decent. It's not. I mean, they've started to play a little better.
They have.
But he's been getting it. He's been really.
He's been getting targets.
Yeah. The dangerous thing is not just Philadelphia's been getting better, but he's playing in Philadelphia. Yeah. And that worries me. Philadelphia, it ain't the hardest place to go and win, but
you know what's funny though? Jones does better. His away home splits are really weird. Like his away games are way better than his home games.
Yeah. Some of that may just be coincidental against one of his first game was against Tampa.
And then after that, I mean, Detroit, the Jets, those are the games he's exploded against on the away side.
Yeah. So
but I'm saying
it's just so happened that the terrible pass defenses that he's played, except for Arizona, he played
that was
Arizona
shocking.
at home and then somehow didn't do well against them. It's weird. It's a weird split.
Claudio, sorry, go ahead.
Who's some other wide? I mean, we should be looking at wide receiver. It looks like a lot of people are looking for wide receivers. Maybe spend a little time now looking, and maybe towards a little later talk about wide receivers that you could pick up.
Sure.
Yeah. Are you saying do that now or later?
Not later, but
okay.
We can start looking while you're talking to Claudio.
All right.
What up, Claudio?
Claudio, thanks for tuning in. He asked, would you start Devontae Parker over Keenan Allen, or is that dumb or too cute? Because he's got Mike Evans as well.
No.
That is that is a tough one. This week, well, they've got let's see, the Chargers are playing. Who are the Chargers playing again? Parker's got the Jets, so that's not intimidating. Who are the Chargers playing?
Chargers are going to play Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville's pass defense is solid. It's not getting too cute because Keenan Allen has been terrible for most of the season because of Phillip Rivers, and Parker's been pretty consistent. But Keenan's come on more lately. Honestly, I think that's a really tough call.
He also has Calvin Ridley, by the way.
No, as much as I like Ridley, this week I would probably prefer Parker or Keenan.
Really? I mean, even if Lattimore doesn't play, or not Lattimore, who are they playing? They're playing
the Panthers.
Panthers.
Yeah.
I mean, Panthers, but their defense. They're
not. Yeah, the Panthers' pass defense is not great, but their run defense is so bad that you can just run the ball against them, and so. So I mean, Ridley could blow up against him. I mean, he had 143 yards and a touchdown a couple of weeks ago. So that's not
target share has been 8-14-10 too.
Yeah, but he didn't throw any passes.
True. Yeah, he didn't have a John Brown garbage touchdown pass. But
because there's no garbage time with Atlanta.
That's right. All time is garbage time, more or less. Austin Hooper's probably coming back this week.
You think he is? That's good news.
I think so for you. Yeah. I think he is. I think he practiced at least in limited fashion or something. This has kind of been like the week that they were expecting
projecting him to come.
Yeah. Let's see. He's well, actually, I guess they gave an update and said that he was expected to resume practicing Monday, and then they haven't given an update since then. I'll see what Twitter says. But I mean, those are just four. Man, he's got an embarrassment of riches there between having to choose from Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Devontae Parker, and Calvin Ridley.
And Mike Evans. He's got Mike Evans starting.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is like Evans lately has probably been the least reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to 5 Point land unless you get 40, it's like.
Yeah. Right.
I have Evans in one of my main leagues, and it's been a roller coaster, I'll tell you.
The last 4 weeks have been really rough, but it's hard to bench him though, because he has the potential to get 35.
You can't, because he gets like 4 touchdowns or none.
He's Odell but better.
He's what Odell was in past years. Yeah, that's a tough call. I would just be, man. Keenan, it's just hard to trust because of Phillip Rivers.
Yeah,
and the fact that he's had 3 good games in a row makes me feel like he's due for a bad one. Is this game in? Let's see, where's this game at? Is it in Jacksonville or is it in? Well, you know what? It doesn't really matter because the Chargers don't play any home games.
Yeah.
They're on the road at Jacksonville. Yeah, that could be a game where Phillip Rivers just throws 4 INTs and they go to Tyrod Taylor or something. I would have a hard time starting Keenan. So I would go. I think Evans and Parker. You could make an argument for Ridley, but usually you don't see a guy blow up twice against a team in a season. So
yeah, this was easy for me just because Parker's playing the Jets. They're a bad pass defense, and obviously Fitzmagic loves throwing to him. Keenan Allen is very touchdown dependent. Like over the last 2 games, he scored 10 plus just because he's gotten a touchdown. And unless you're in full point PPR, he's getting you 8, 7, 6 a game. So to me, this is a pretty easy play here, especially since he's gotten 10 or more targets in 4 straight weeks. That's hard for me to deny.
Yeah, Keenan. It's crazy. Like Keenan has gone since week 3. Like his first 3 weeks, he had 123 yards, 98 yards, 183 yards, and since then he hasn't gone over 71 yards. It's like been consistently basically about 45 yards or 65 yards. And so you need a touchdown from him.
And he is in full PPR in this league anyway. And I still go Parker. 10 targets, many touchdowns.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it could be welcome to abysmal disappointmentville with Devontae Parker.
But also the Chargers. The Chargers. It's that simple. Like, yeah, it could be okay. The Dolphins tank this week and just go back to being first 5 weeks Miami, but the Chargers haven't been good at all. They had 1 good game against Green Bay, and Keenan Allen is getting fine targets and fine points, but without a touchdown, there's really almost no point.
Yeah, but I mean that to me that spells if we're talking about. Like, just because the Chargers have been bad, they're a good team. They've got quality players.
Phillip Rivers is not good.
He is good. He's
not performing well this year.
He hasn't performed well so
which
far.
Is a problem when you're in week 13 and missing the playoffs, week 14 and missing the playoffs.
I don't expect him to go off and do amazing, but look, the guy's, it's not like he all of a sudden, I forgot football. Sometimes he looks like it. Sometimes he looks like it lately, but
most of the year.
Devontae Parker and the Dolphins like have in their DNA the ability, the desire to disappoint you. So good luck with that.
Do they? The coach has had their coach has had the mentality for these last few weeks. We're going to compete. We're going to actually
I'm not talking about their
play.
mentality. I'm talking
and
about
that's what they're doing.
DNA. They will disappoint you no matter what their mentality is.
Well, the Miami Dolphins have gone into Jurassic Park and altered their DNA.
Yeah.
So they do not just end up being a Cincinnati Bengals of the NFL this year.
We'll see about that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put money on that? Would you put money on the Dolphins? That's my question.
I would put money on the Dolphins in the sense that I have 17 pay leagues, and I'm going to get in the playoffs in 12. If I am like mourning the fact that I don't have Devontae Parker in more than, I just have him in 1 league. And he's going to be one of my 2 starting wide receivers. It's my 250 league. So, so that's
I feel bad for you, man. I feel bad for
750.
Yeah, we feel bad that he's putting up 32 points last week.
And they get the Giants pass defense in that week that Aaron Rodgers just tore apart. And so I am going to essentially put money on the Dolphins, or at least on a Dolphin or 2, Devontae Parker and maybe Fitzpatrick.
Jamie, record this for later. Thank you.
Hey, I'll take that. If he busts or something,
boy.
I feel better about Devontae Parker than I feel about starting Cooper Kupp against Dallas in Week 15. Look at what Cooper Kupp. I mean,
Cooper Kupp's not going to play Dallas
in Week 15.
In Week 15. Oh, in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm already looking ahead. Like, I'm barely even paying attention to this week because my teams are locked in. So for me, I'm paying attention to Week 15. So, now if he's healthy, he's starting for me, and I feel as good about him as just about anybody out there. If he flops, hey, Cooper Kupp had a 0-point week. Tyler Lockett had a 0-point week. Yeah. I mean, it is hard to find reliable guy. We've talked about what Odell has done this season. It's just hard to find reliable guys this year.
You got to plant your flags where you got to plant your flags, man. I hear you.
Okay, moving on real quick. Omar, we see your question. We'll get right to it. Claudio says he's the league manager, so the trade deadline is still Saturday. So that explains it. You think he could trade Keenan Allen for someone better? Who could he get? He sent him for DJ Moore straight up. and the guy didn't accept it or deny it. Dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't accept that either.
DJ Moore for Keenan Allen. Straight up. That's a steal, in my opinion.
I traded, let's see, the week of the deadline in Yahoo Public Leagues. I traded, I think it's the week of the deadline. Maybe it's the week before. I traded Juju for DJ Moore straight up.
Oh,
that was a good move.
But what's funny was it was to like the worst team in the league too, and so I'm surprised people didn't complain about it. But like, wow. I don't know the guy or anything. He just took it. So I don't know if he was just like, I like you, sure, I'll give you DJ Moore for Juju, or if he really thought he was getting a deal. But DJ Moore hadn't really, like, he had been solid, but he had a lot of like, 10-point games and stuff like that. And so I kind of got him like right before he really started to blow up. And so I think he might have had that. I think he had that that November 3rd game where he had 100 yards. But yeah, lately, man, he's been pretty reliable. So
real quick, so I went to, you guys ever been to Pro Football Doc, the David Chow's website? It's really awesome. He goes through and gives great little blurbs about each player, and he's been one of the most reliable sources of information from a medical standpoint. And he's saying that he is worried about Julio playing, and he's a little less about Hooper. Mm-hmm. But since they're out of a contention, that he doesn't like, it could all be up in the air. But
anyway, to answer Claudio's question, what do you got?
Oh, what was his question?
Who could you trade Allen for?
I mean, you're not going to get much, and you might as well just hold on to him and hope he blows up.
I mean, I will say he gets, in week 15, he gets the Vikings.
Use that as trade bait.
Yeah, you could use it as trade bait, but if you're already locked in for the playoffs, then as unreliable as he has been, or he had a long stretch of being unreliable, and suddenly he's kind of become relevant again. Just the Vikings, against that Vikings pass defense, maybe Rivers can get the ball to him enough, because it's tough to run on him. The Seahawks, I was tremendously impressed with the Seahawks last night for being able to, run in like 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think one of them was a passing touchdown to Penny, but they ran in at least 1, if not 2. And Carson and Penny both did well. And that's a tough run defense, and it always has been. I think the Chargers will have to pass more on him, and I don't know. So I think Keenan, if you are stuck with him, then it might not be the worst thing for your Week 15 matchup.
Hey, real quick, AJ, we're sort of at a peak of our viewers. Can you just tell everybody about the T-shirts again?
Sure. Since we have the most viewers so far, real quick, I do see your question, Classic Vanilla 2. Thanks for tuning in, and don't worry, Omar, we're still going to get to your question. But since Judahbuddha asked, I'm going to plug the next version of our T-shirts now, the dark variant, which is honestly my personal favorite.
Go to the black one. That one's my favorite. We also have them in hoodies too.
Yeah, we got the hoodies too. So this is the black variant right here. Judahbuddha's loving the hoodies we've got with our faces on it. We've got the medium dark blue, and then, of course, my personal favorite, we've got the navy RotoHackers hoodie.
It looks like purple.
It's navy. You said your computer colors are weird, so I'm going to bet on that. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Once we reach 100 viewers, we will be giving away 3 free T-shirts on the stream. Be sure to go ahead and tell everybody. There is the link once again in the chat. I am running out of things to say, so I'm going to stop talking right now. But there you go. Also, Judahbuddha. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all we needed.
Perfect. Also, Judahbuddha had said 2 episodes ago, send in your design ideas to rotohackers@gmail.com. We'll be selecting 1 fan idea to make as an actual shirt. So be sure to send those in, rotohackers@gmail. Let's get back to the question. Sorry, go ahead, Jared.
I was going to say, do you have the option to edit those at all?
Yeah.
Like now? Like, we probably need to tell people, like, like what we are.
What do you mean?
Like, does it say on there anywhere that we're fantasy
yeah.
football, or does it give a website or anything?
Unauthorized reporters of fantasy football.
What do you like?
Maybe like throw RotoHackers on the back or something.
On the shirt?
Yeah, on the back, like RotoHackers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're branding stuff, like you got to tell people like what you are, like how to find you.
We have business meetings on stream, guys.
Yeah, I could have done this later. I thought the awkwardness would be like just good entertainment, though.
Oh boy, Omar, we're gonna hop to your question right now. We talked about kicker recommendations earlier. Judahbuddha's a believer in Steven Hauschka. Jared's not so hot. We're saying Dan Bailey could be good, but that's a bit of a risk. The truth is, there aren't a ton of kickers.
No, I would just look at matchups. Yeah, there's not a ton of reliable guys. Robbie Gould's out there, and it's a pretty good offense. And
I think Robbie Gould is one that we all pretty much agree on.
But even then, arguing against myself here, like he's not been terribly reliable. He's missed kicks, and really McLaughlin came in and did better.
Welcome to Kickerland.
Well, part of that was Gould had missed multiple weeks with injury too, so he wasn't 100%.
You know what?
Yeah.
Name one kicker that's been consistent. Even Justin Tucker, has been like barely better than average on a couple of weeks.
Harrison Bucker.
He's been okay.
He's been good for a kicker. He's been good.
Lutz has been pretty reliable.
Lutz, yeah. Him too.
Lutz, yeah.
Omar says, what about Young Ho Koo, the guy from the AAF?
I was ready to strangle him.
Yeah, he's had a couple bad
because he missed an extra point and he missed a field goal.
Yeah.
And I was ready to make the drive 90 minutes to Atlanta and strangle that man.
Yeah, well, okay. He was 12 of 12 before that.
He was great before, but that's part of my frustration too, is like, okay, now I play you and now you're terrible. Yeah, man.
AJ, are you saying his past performance was good and he still had a bad performance?
What?
Past performance is no indication of future success.
Okay, let me just finish this point off, and then you can go at it on that one. But yeah. So, but the thing, what they found out about him is he is like some sort of savant at onside kicks, to where Koo did 3 straight successful onside kicks. I mean, only 2 of them counted because one got called back for a penalty, but really he had 3 straight successful onside kicks in an era where it's like 99 point something % that the kicking team doesn't recover. So, but I don't know, after seeing him struggle in that game, I just feel like the opportunities are going to be there because the Falcons can move the ball a little bit, but they're going to stall out before they get to the red zone. But he's looking shaky now. So
yeah.
Real quick, Claudio Jenkins asks if Howard's playing. I'm assuming you're meaning Jordan Howard. I haven't seen any news of him.
I don't think
you
he's
guys?
Gonna play. I don't think he's going to play.
He hadn't been cleared for the thing that they're waiting on is for him to be cleared for contact. Basically there's just no way to know. I mean, I think he got in limited practices, but
all week last week. Yeah.
So this is what Chow says. This is Jordan Howard has a nerve issue in his shoulder, which is often referred to as a stinger. You've heard of those. Fantasy players have been questioning the length of his absence, but nerve injuries linger, and this isn't uncommon for them to go a while. There's a chance he'll miss Monday night as well. Miles Sanders will likely be the lead back until Howard returns.
Yeah, and then it's a messy situation because then he comes back for the playoffs. Do you trust that he goes in and gets his full workload back? Do you trust that even if he does, that he doesn't re-injure it immediately? That is a tough, messy situation there.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta scroll through the questions real quick.
We got 15 minutes left.
All right. Classic Vanilla 2. Thank you
Boy.
for tuning in. He asks, should he start both Rashad Penny and Chris Carson? Claudio's instantly said yes. What do you guys think?
Against the Rams, right?
I believe so, yes. They're against the Rams.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think yes.
I for sure will in 2 weeks against the Panthers because after again, look what Adrian Peterson and Darius Geist did to them in an offense that can't scare you at all with its passing attack. So I think Carson and Penny are going to be like a great combo for that week. Even this week, depending on what your other options are, I think you could start them. Like the Rams aren't great against the run.
So there was a point in the game in which Carson actually took himself out of the game to let Penny get a shot at getting a touchdown. It's like this symbiotic, like they are either trying to troll us as fantasy players or more likely they just have this like friendship type thing where it's like the whole team is on this like good vibe, man. You see like Russell Wilson going like, let's go, he's going and he's like slapping backs and he's they're all on this like real positive thing. And I think it's like the rising tide, man. All those boats are going up. Except maybe Lockett.
His sank. It's like at the bottom of the Seattle harbor.
And Josh Gordon, but I think Lockett's could come back. I wouldn't drop him.
Oh no, I wouldn't drop him.
See what he does this week.
Yeah. Going all the way back here, Claudio asks, should he start Carson Wentz or Kyler Murray this week?
Wentz. I would go Wentz. He's on a heater, and he's getting everybody healthy. I don't know. I saw something this week that it depends. Who's he playing?
He's playing the Giants Monday night.
Yeah,
so that's a good
Giants.
That's a good matchup for him.
Kyler Murray just looked like trash.
He had a rough week.
I saw a meme that had like it said like Kyler Murray taking a snap, and so it had the center. It had a center sitting there, and it had Baby Yoda in a Kyler Murray jersey taking the snap behind.
Oh my goodness!
Kyler Murray. He was killing me in a couple of leagues last week. I still managed to win one of them, but last week was just the worst week for quarterbacks. I started Foles in some leagues. Yeah. I started Sam Darnold in some leads. Yeah. I started Kyler in some leagues. Who else? But it was just faceplant. Drew Brees even like in one league, and he had 10 or 11 points. So man, last week was, and that's why I went like 7 and 10. But fortunately, I won most of the games I needed to win.
Yeah.
Wentz.
Yeah.
Giants are a good matchup for a pass defense. He's at home. It's hard for me to trust him. Like if I had him, I don't know how comfortable I would feel playing him next week against the Redskins. Like even as bad as the Redskins are, I don't know, and who knows what the health of Alshon Jeffrey will be at that point. But this week, I think at home against the Giants is a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, especially since Kyler's got Pittsburgh, and they're tough.
Yeah.
Would you play Wentz or Watson this week?
Let's see. Deshaun's got.
He's got the
Denver.
San Francisco. Oh, Denver.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Denver. Yeah, Denver's a tough pass defense. Watson is a tough one because he can play great against good teams.
He plays up for good teams.
Yeah. I think ESPN was putting out a graphic of his primetime stats and record and stuff, and he's just a stud when he's in primetime.
Yeah.
Man, that is a tough one. I guess I would lean a little bit to Watson just because Wentz has been so down, and I know he had that one good game against the Dolphins, but you can definitely pass on the Giants. That's no problem. However, I could also see it being a game where the Giants just aren't able to do that much, just like how the Patriots came in there and weren't able to do that much. And then, maybe Philly gets a defensive touchdown. Maybe they run a couple and he doesn't really have to do very much. Like there was a game that they had where they scored a lot of points. I've got to go back and see, was it against the Jets or who was it against? So the Buffalo game, they won 31-13. He only had 172 yards and a touchdown for 14.3 fantasy points. The Jets, they beat the Jets. Yeah, they did beat the Jets earlier in the year, week 5, 31-6. He only had 189 yards and a touchdown and 12 fantasy points. So he can very easily torch the Giants. But what scares me is the possibility that he doesn't need to. And in those games where he doesn't need to, they're just not really making him do it.
Yeah. We got a question from Crypto EE, but right before we get to it, Ryan N secured the bye week.
Woo! Nice.
Well done, sir.
Nice. Congrats.
Congratulations. Nice. Enjoy getting to watch your opponents fall in week 14. Moving on.
So wait, time out. Jared, you've never experienced bye week, have you?
I have. It's been a long time since I played a private league where it was like a 3-round playoff format, but I have done that before. Yeah. Okay. But like sort of bye week for me is a lot of times like week 14 where I'm locked into the playoffs and it's like, okay. Unless I really care about my opponent for week 15. For the most part, this week is kind of a bye week for me. So normally I know who everyone is playing this week. And, tonight I've been like, wait, who's playing who this week? I'm not on my game this week as much because I'm looking ahead to week 15.
Gotcha.
Crypto EE says PPR for you, Jared. Pick 2, Miles Sanders, Chris Carson, Austin Eckler. That's like a trio of running backs right there.
It is.
I think I'd go Sanders and Carson, depending. I mean, like if Jordan's back, Sanders is hard to trust, but and you guys, by the way, you guys were right about Ajayi. He did not get any carries. Yeah. It was all you guys are right. Sanders was the main dude, and if he's the main dude again, I like Carson and Sanders, man.
Even though this is PPR and Austin Eckler we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They seem to be going more for even in the passing game now. It seems like it's tilting. You correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's tilting a little bit more towards Gordon.
Yeah, carries wise, I would say so for sure.
Yeah,
and I mean targets have been diminishing for Eckler too. Like last week, he only got 5.
Mm-hmm. So unless he gets you a touchdown. Whereas, like, I feel like Carson's going to get you a touchdown and a lot of yards. Sanders is going to get
a Penny though, like we've been talking about.
Yeah, he is. He's not like the world beater he was, week 1, but Sanders is going to get a ton of catches. Like he's getting a lot of catches. Like he doesn't do so well in the between the tackles. And Carson, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been getting a couple more targets too. Or no, I guess not since Penny's been coming on.
But, the crazy thing is, like, you think about how Carson and Penny basically just split that game. Because I think Carson had 49% of the snaps and Penny had 51%, if the graphic I saw today was right. Mm-hmm. And yet, splitting carries, Carson got 23 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown.
They are committed.
They are committed to that running game. Yeah. And that's why Tyler Lockett didn't have a single catch. But just think about how crazy that is that you're the guy who was really the number 2 running back for you by only slightly, 49%. But he got 23 carries, which is more than almost any uncontested number 1 running back has been getting this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
So to that question, if Howard doesn't play, so if Howard does play, which I don't think he's going to, but if he does, then I would go Carson and Eckler. If he doesn't, then I would go Sanders, and I'm going to say Carson. I think San Diego will still have to get the ball to Eckler a good bit, but because the volume is just not really tremendous right now, I feel like he's just got a down game coming. Like he's still been getting enough catches and he's been getting enough touchdowns to get to double digits. But I just feel like that's gotta run out at some point.
It's hard to bench Eckler though when he's scored on under 10 points once. And now he's in Pittsburgh.
It is. It's painful for me. Which is why my first thing was like, well, if Howard does play, that I was taking the easy road first. Because if he does, I like all three of them.
Yeah. If you got a flex spot open, like honestly.
Yeah, it would depend. Yeah,
who would you play? Real quick, who would you play? He mentioned this is crypto. Would you play Alshon Jeffrey or Eckler?
Alshon.
Probably Alshon.
Alshon for me, because
playing the Giants.
Because the Giants, they're just such a bad pass defense. The Eagles don't have, they throw the ball to the tight ends and to Sanders, but I mean, Alshon's really like the only reliable receiver. He's basically like they're basically like the Dolphins in the wide receiver game, because the Dolphins have Devontae Parker and nothing else, and the Eagles have Alshon Jeffrey and nothing else.
Yeah, sure. Plus, he got 16 targets last week, so.
Well, we're running out of time. Maybe we should fly through these questions or answers or whatever.
Math Quest, I see you right there, but we got Claudio up first real quick. Steelers or Eagles D? The Eagles burned him last week, and he would have started.
I think we talked about the Eagles defense too, because I went out and picked them up everywhere. Was it us that was talking about them?
I remember it came up. I don't remember. Yeah. I don't remember what was. I think we said we liked
him because of Miami.
I would have done a lot better this week without those Eagles. Oh man.
Yeah, I was fortunate that they just weren't really available anywhere. So
you know what I would say? I don't know. I feel like don't Steelers have a better pass rush? Like, don't you think that they could get more sacks?
Well, they've got T.J. Watt, and so T.J. Watt really provides a lot of that. Yeah,
I would go with T.J. Watt,
and they like to blitz. Yeah, I mean. And Arizona, gosh, they looked rough against the Rams last week. So
go with the Steelers.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Let's see, sorry, go ahead.
Was that a round of Steelers?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. I don't like them as well that they're not at home, but I think you got to kind of roll with them.
Yeah, and we've talked about how well Daniel Jones could do on the road too.
And their Daniel Jones' offensive line has looked a little better too, holding back the rush.
Math Quest says, will Aaron Rodgers put up similar fantasy points this Sunday like he did against the Giants last week?
I think he will. We talked about how this could be a good get right week for him.
Whenever he plays bad pass defenses, he explodes. Whenever he does.
He does. He's a little matchup dependent in that way.
He is the most matchup dependent quarterback in the league, I would say.
Well, I don't know about that. Kyler Murray is kind of
but I mean, even looking at what Rodgers has done against really good defenses, he's never scored over like 18 points. But against bad defenses, he has a ceiling of 53.
Yeah, I went 6 points per.
Yeah, I would be I would be a little worried about a letdown game for Aaron Rodgers.
Even against Washington, though?
Washington's coming on, by the way.
Well, that's the thing, is Washington has somehow managed to get better, at least.
And I'm not talking about their offense, because their offense is still abysmal.
But let's not give them too much credit, though, because they played their last two games. They played the Lions. Stafford was out, and they played the Panthers, who Kyle Allen we know could flip up and down.
Kyle Allen did look like pure garbage for 3 quarters.
So it's not so much the Redskins defense being really, really good and the other teams just not having, good enough quarterback.
Well, but part of it is that you can run on them. So
you firing up the Geis?
Well, no, I'm saying like the opposing teams can run on the Redskins.
Oh,
So like earlier this year, like they went up to Minnesota, and I thought like, oh, maybe this is because Kirk Cousins was coming off of a week or two earlier, having a good game against the Eagles, and I thought, oh, maybe he could have a good game, but he, it wasn't that he played poorly against Washington. It's just that they didn't really need to throw. They just ran Dalvin Cook. So I don't know. Like this is a game where I think Aaron Rodgers could go off for 35 or 40. I think he could also deliver 14. I don't really have a lot of confidence about what he's going to give you.
But they're at Lambeau, and I think he's got a little I don't know. I feel like he's got some vendetta, not vendetta against these Washington or whatever. I think he's the kind of guy, man, who you get to this time of year and you start hearing whispers of the Packers are no good. Mm-hmm. He starts turning it on.
I think like I said before, he's the most matchup dependent quarterback in the NFL, and he's playing Washington. Yeah. Every time he's faced a bad defense this year, he's blown up. Detroit, Oakland. We saw the Giants last week. I think he's going to do really well against Washington's defense. I really believe that. I'm a Bears fan, and I'm saying that Aaron Rodgers is going to do well.
Yeah, I think you go with him. I would be a little nervous doing it.
Yeah. Thomas H here for us asks, for receiving help in a standard league, would you stream Robbie Anderson against the Dolphins over Metcalf, Curtis Samuel, or Scary Terry? And he says that this is, quote, the most mediocre receiving core in history. Why? Robbie Anderson, again.
So, a lot of questions about Robbie.
Well, last week it was Conley. Last week it was Chris Conley. and actually, though, because I went back and looked, and I was like, oh, man, we told people to start Chris Conley. But, like, in the games – or no, I'm sorry, in the matchups that people were giving us, like, Conley did do the best. It was just that the others were so bad. Conley had, like, 7 points or something, but it was terrible. So Thomas H has to start 3 of these guys?
I think he's saying, would you stream? This is streaming. So he's streaming Robbie over Metcalf, Curtis Samuel, or Scary Terry.
Okay, why over Metcalf, though? Metcalf could be great.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it over Metcalf because Robbie's just been so boom bust like usual. Yeah, so Robbie, yeah. Curtis Samuel, yeah, you never know what you're going to get out of him. Sometimes he'll catch a touchdown, but otherwise it's like 35 yards. I would just go with Metcalf and hope that
he doesn't fumble.
Well, I would hope that Jalen Ramsey's not on him. Like, I would, because I don't know. Maybe the Rams haven't seen the last few Seattle games to realize that Tyler Lockett is like out there standing around and that they don't even really need to cover him.
But I mean, even with what's his name, Rhodes all over him, Metcalf was having like probably the biggest yards game of his of the season.
Third.
Well, no, he was having the biggest one, and then he fumbled, and it sort of put an end to.
He had 123 yards one game.
I know, but what I'm saying is like he was on target to like getting a lot more yards.
Yeah,
and then he fumbled.
I mean, the targets are pretty well there. The tough thing with Seattle is, they just don't like to throw to the receivers in the red zone as much. I mean, it's a lot of the tight end who, well, it's Hollister now. Yeah. They like to run the ball in either with one of those running backs or with Wilson, doing some sort of sneak or some sort of rollout and hit a tight end or something. So, but I think Metcalf is probably offers the best floor out of any of those guys. If you need like a home run play, maybe you go with Robbie over him, but otherwise I'd go Metcalf.
Yeah. And this is kind of funny, but Thomas H is kind of bookending us here as I'm flipping all the way back up to the first comment before we even started streaming.
Oh yeah.
Welcome back, Jared Goff.
Yeah, I think
so.
well, for one game, but no, I was telling Judah, I think before we went on the broadcast, I was like, because he mentioned that comment, and I'm like, yeah, I did call it on Goff and Robert Woods. Like Robert Woods had a very good game.
You mentioned particularly Robert Woods. I remember that while he was blowing up.
Yeah.
Also, Eric Courier's joining us tonight. He said, no doubt, defense. Wait, definitely no doubt. Cleveland's offense is too high of a ceiling. Cleveland's offense? What was that in reference to?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure about that one.
Oh, Eagles.
Yeah, I don't know I'm not clear on the.
It was in the context right after the Aaron Rodgers question, or sorry, after Claudio asked about the Steelers or the Eagles.
Oh, Steelers. Maybe he's talking about Steelers. Oh! Steelers are playing Cleveland.
No, they played them. They played them this past weekend. Cleveland's playing Cincinnati. So I'm not sure about this question.
Just to clarify in the comments. Well, we got to go, don't we?
Yeah. Well, so anyway, I think that is going to do it. Do you guys have any final words for us before we sign off?
Well, I don't. We did. I know. AJ's got to go, but we didn't really get to. We didn't get to waiver wire.
We got to get to the waiver wire.
That's a good point.
All right, we'll cover the waiver wire.
This is an interesting waiver wire.
Yeah,
I think we need to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to? Hey, can you hang on for a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I can hang on for a couple more minutes.
Okay, so my first question is Madison going to be a game? Like you texted me, Jared, that you think that Madison could be a league winner.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the opposite. I think he could ruin Jared Cook's. Dalvin. Yeah, sorry. He could ruin Dalvin Cook's
fantasy
value. Appeal? Yeah, because I think Cook's still gonna play, and like I could totally see him still playing for a quarter, getting re-injured. And then, so would you play? So like, if you have Dalvin Cook, which I do, in one league where I really need to win. Oh, well, I'm in the playoffs, but so this is the quarterfinals. I don't want to get kicked out in the first round. Do I play both? Do I play Madison? Do I?
It kind of depends on the Saturday injury report too. Like if Cook's fully cleared, like it was just an aggravation, he's okay by like Thursday or something, then Cook's good to go. But
first of all,
go ahead.
First of all, I'm not convinced that, they're like, oh no, he's fine. This feels like a James Conner, oh no, he's fine, sort of scenario here. I'm not convinced that he's gonna play, but we'll see. And especially like it's Detroit this week, right? So it does not matter if they have Dalvin Cook or Alexander Madison out there. They are going to run over them regardless. So, Madison has shown that he's, more than a capable replacement, especially against a team like the Lions. I think it would be stupid of them to play Dalvin Cook.
Goodness.
Because
assumption of rational coaching, though.
I know that's true. And I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying I think it would be, or if they do. So I think you got to wait and see. That's a tough situation if they say he's going to go. But even then, it's not Madison that's ruining Cook's value. It could be Cook ruining Madison's value.
Yeah. Both, because it's like a Cook. It's really not. I don't know. I kind of feel like playing both. Just in case.
I'm not feeling that. I mean,
well, okay, but about the waiver wire though.
Yeah, for the waiver wire.
Is he would you just go out and spend all your fab, your number one waiver priority? Is Madison the dude to do that on?
I think fab.
Well, you got to think like how much time there is left in the season.
How many more opportunities you'll have?
How many more opportunities do you want to like hold off and gamble that somebody else gets hurt this next weekend? I mean, he is to me the best. I'm trying to run through. Yeah, he's the best handcuff out there. Like he's in the best situation because he's proven like you just stick him in there for Cook and he's just as good. And they've got one of the best, top 5 rushing attacks. They get
though they stuck him in there for like a lot of the second half on Monday, and he wasn't great. I didn't think he was like game beater.
I mean, it wasn't. Let's see, what did he do here? They actually didn't really end up giving him that many carries. So he had 4 carries for 22 yards. I mean, that's over 5 a carry. And I guess in the passing game here, let's see what he had in the passing game. But I think part of it was, they got behind against Seattle. And so they've been, okay. So he had 5 targets, 4 receptions for 51 yards. And that was in pretty limited use, So, man, I don't know what happens with it. I don't know if he plays, again, maybe they do throw Cook out there, but if you're going to take a roll the dice on somebody, man, he's about as good to me as it gets.
So you're all in.
I'm all in on, I don't have fab leagues because I just play Yahoo standard or Yahoo Pro leagues. And so they're all waiver priority, but
next year.
Yeah, I think they will switch it next year because they switched basketball this year.
Yeah,
but
you're the one who told me about that.
Yeah. But if I've got a number 1 waiver priority, I only have a number 1 waiver priority in one league where he's available and I'm using it on him.
Wow.
So yeah. I'm all in as far as that goes.
Okay.
But fab, that's tougher for me to say.
If you had $20 out of 100 left, would you just spend the rest? Because he's gonna go for $20 or so. Yeah,
and you probably wouldn't get him for that. Somebody would probably have more than $20. But
I don't know. Most people have 20 or under now at this point.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I would give it if you need, but part of it depends on your situation too. If you've got 3 stud running backs, I have leagues where, I've got Henry, Chubb and Fournette or something like that. Well, in that case, maybe you don't necessarily need him, but you also, I think, have to look and see who you're probably going to be matched up with in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And especially does your opponent have Dalvin Cook? In that case, you want to take him even if you don't need him, because you could be leaving him without his number 1 running back.
Yep. I think I might have to go out and get him.
Really quick, I got an update on Dalvin Cook. He fully practiced today, I think.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
We'll see. I mean, the tricky thing though is, I guess he had an injury.
Yeah, the same place or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so apparently he had it during practice earlier in the week. And then I thought he was going to go out. I wasn't sure if he was going to come back in at the end of the half because right before the half ended, he went to the sideline, kind of clutching himself in pain. And then he came back out and I'm like, okay, he just took a, hit to a bad spot or something. And then once he got hurt, I'm like, oh, okay, that's just that same spot. So, well, if in that case, then it's a little bit dicier. I'm still going to go get him. But you've also got, there's another guy out there. The other guy out there is, what's that?
Mostert?
Well, 2 guys, I guess. Mostert, although that's a messy situation because Breida, what's going to be the breakdown if Breida, Coleman, and Mostert are all in there? Yeah. A guy that I'm interested in, not as much for this week, but potentially for next week, is Darwin Thompson for the Chiefs.
Really?
Because Damian Williams, I don't know if he's been hurt. He's got the rib issue, and
Darnell too. What's his name?
Darrell Williams. So Darrell Williams has a hamstring, and we know that can linger, and so it's basically
it's a bad hamstring too, really bad.
Yeah, and so they're trying to limit McCoy's touches. So Darwin Thompson came in last week, and he got a pretty good little share there. So he ended up with 11 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown. This week's a bad matchup. It's New England, but with Darrell Williams potentially being out multiple weeks, with Damian Williams, unless they gave an update later today, his rib issue, he hasn't even been practicing at all. So that looks like it's going to be an ongoing thing. So Darwin Thompson next week against the Broncos, that could be an interesting matchup.
Yeah. How about you, AJ? What do you think, man, about all these guys we've been talking about? Or yeah, another one.
Well, I mean, concerning Mostert, it's just the 49ers I hate committees. I hate running. Judahbuddha, you know this. I've been complaining about running back committees ever since the first time we did an episode. First time we talked about fantasy football. So Mostert scares me. But Madison could be good. I think it just depends on Cook's health because Zimmer's saying he's fine. Cook himself is saying he's fine. Pretty sure he participated in practice today. As long as this isn't lying to me, he may not have participated fully.
Where did you get that from?
I'm trying to find actually where I got it from.
I'll look for some stuff
from his mind.
Well, either way, Madison I think could still be good. If I've got Fab, I don't think I'm spending all of it, but I've been able to get away with a lot of picks by only spending $5 on stuff. So I think Madison could be good. Of course, depending, say if Cook practices later this week and re-aggravates it somehow later this week as well. If he's a full participant and somehow messes it up. So I think Madison's still a good pickup. I think Madison's still not a bad pickup. I like him a lot as a player, and I think if Cook isn't 100% by Sunday, even though they're saying he's quote unquote fine, I think Madison's still good.
I think I'm gonna go out and get him.
Yeah.
I mean, not my biggest competition, but the guy who has, what's his name? Mahomes. He's got Mahomes and Cook. He's the one I'm worried about. Mahomes, not because he's been great, but he has the potential to go off on me. He's got some bad matchups coming up, but anyways, I think it might be a good. I have the most fab too in that league. So,
the only thing I see, like on Yahoo's little update, it just says that Dalvin Cook says he'll definitely be ready to play.
Maybe I read it wrong. Yeah. Mike Zimmer, I believe, on NBC said he's fine too, if I remember correctly. But then again, Coach one-liners.
Coach lies.
We all know how that ends.
Why would they tell the truth? Why would they give their opponents game plan?
Yeah, they do.
Hey, I got one more.
Fire away.
One more running back. What do you guys? You guys love Devontae Parker so much, okay?
Yeah.
And I get it. I get
it. Are we going with a Dolphins running back?
Patrick Laird, baby.
Oh boy.
Look, man. Hey, Kalen Ballage, Trash Bag Central is finally on IR.
Oh my goodness. That's
Patrick Laird is like somebody who could have a little spark. I watched him play. He did his best Ballage impersonation he could do, just running into the line with all his might. He didn't dodge the ball.
He's kind of like a fullback, isn't he? Like, isn't he?
No.
Isn't he? No.
He's an athletic, he kind of reminds me of like someone said he is like the homeless person's version of what's his name? Sexy Rexy.
Wow.
Rex Burkhead. He looks kind of like Rex Burkhead. He kind of plays like him, but he caught a touchdown. He was really pumped during the game. I was watching.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his little profile pic photo here. He's just got a big grin on his face.
Yeah,
he looks like he's a JV player who got to suit up for the varsity game just because they were just out of games for the JV season and he was man, I don't know.
Come on.
Also, they just signed the Dolphins just signed the guy who won't go away this time of year. Normally it's for the Lions, Zach Zenner.
Are you serious?
Wow. He's like
a throwback. He's got the coolest name in the NFL.
Yeah, so let's see the little update here. They claimed him. Dolphins claimed running back Zach Zenner off waivers from the Cardinals. The owner of 3 carries for -2 yards this season, Zenner has an outside shot at immediately slotting in as the Dolphins' lead runner.
Nah, it's going to be Laird.
No. I mean, we talk as much about Jay Ajayi. And I mean, Sanders is there, but we talk as much about Jay Ajayi not taking it. I'd be feeling kind of contradictory if I immediately.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's gonna be
you guys are all of a sudden on the new guy coming in.
No,
I'm just saying, like, I don't know what's gonna happen there, and the problem too is, what is the ceiling for what happens there? You know, I mean, like
the ceiling or the floor?
The
ceiling.
The floor is zero. The floor is zero. I don't know what the ceiling is though.
Yeah.
And so
it's like 100 points.
Okay. Yeah. So I like, it's tough for me to really go out. Like, how desperate do you have to be to need the Dolphins? Like, Dolphins receiver is one thing because Fitzpatrick and Devontae Parker are putting up points. Yeah. Dolphins running back has not been putting up points.
I'm not saying go out and spend all your fab on him. I'm just saying, like, look, if you miss on some of these guys tomorrow, you wake up, what did I do? I didn't get anybody off the waiver wire. I forgot. And everybody's been taken. Guess who'll be sitting there looking at you like, hey, I'm still here.
I guess, but man, it just goes back to, like, if you go back to like the Lions situation, where when you've got like an assortment of multicolored trash cans, it's hard to have any confidence that they're going to pick like the green trash can over the purple trash can.
But Devontae Parker, he's the next Julio Jones, folks.
Okay, we're not claiming that. Stop putting words in our mouths.
A wide receiver, number one, Parker has always had hype. He's just never done it.
Yeah.
And now
wait, repeat that. What was that?
He's never done it until this year. He had never done it. So this year, and a wide receiver generally only has to beat one guy, maybe two, but usually it's one. It's either a zone coverage where he may not, really have to necessarily beat a single guy, or he just has to beat one guy in man coverage. A running back, if your offensive line is trash, then they're trying to beat like 8 guys in the box. So it's a different situation. So. But again, going back to what I was going to say is, like, the Lions, when Kerryon Johnson went down and we're like, okay, it's going to be Ty Johnson. And then they are just throwing random guys out there. So, like, man, it's a bad situation already for a running back. And then you are basically like doing a little roll of the dice on hoping that they pick the guy that you think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, he could still be out there. I'm not going to say he's going to win your league or anything.
I mean, if you're in a 14-team league.
16-team too.
Okay, but.
12-team league, I doubt there's very much out there. Now, what I will say is, before you go Laird, go Pollard. Go, I mean, obviously, we already talked about Madison. Who was the other guy you said?
Mostert?
Who?
Mostert?
No, Mostert, sure.
Darwin Thompson.
Darwin Thompson. And there's one more. Oh, Armstead. He's the backup for Leonard
Fournette.
The man Fournette. So, you want to go out and look for those. There's only like 5 or 6, and there's no reason to keep some of these like potential wide receivers. If you're already in the playoffs, like, don't bother with these like wide receivers that might blow up. Now, okay, like, I grant you, like, someone like, you're probably gonna start someone like Devontae Parker, but if you're like waiting on, who is it I picked up the other day? I mean, some of these like Panthers wide receivers, I drop them.
Don't drop DJ Moore.
No, not. I'm talking about Samuels.
Curtis Samuel is a pretty. It's a huge dice roll. It's like 50-50. He's not. I mean, he's sort of boom or bust. But I mean, like I said, like Curtis Samuel is every week. I feel like he has. Okay, so last week he actually got up to 65 yards.
Okay.
So once in a while he gets like 65 or 70, but there's a lot of like 35-yard games, and if he doesn't get a touchdown, you're getting 5 points out of him.
Mm-hmm. But all these like backup wide receivers, or even you don't need a backup tight end or a backup
unless you have Evan Ingram.
If you haven't dropped Evan Ingram, good on you.
So one that I saw as like a recommended pickup this week from I think from Yahoo was the Packers wide receiver Lazard,
boy.
because he had 103 yards and a touchdown. However, that was on 3 targets, all of which he caught. And the week before that, he had 2 targets. And so, man, that's do you roll the dice on him? If you think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good game, who else is he going to throw to besides Devontae Adams? So would you roll the dice on Lazard this week at home against the Redskins?
Mm-hmm. No.
No? Okay.
No, absolutely not. The Packers have Devontae Adams and 7 different wide receiver 2s.
Yeah.
No.
There's 7 different wide receiver 3s.
I think Lazard is watching the game. Lazard is the number 2. Well, he's the number 2 receiver. Yeah, he is.
3 targets that's not a lot.
I know, but other than Devontae Adams, there aren't a lot of targets to go around. Maybe to the running backs actually catch a lot of balls.
Yeah,
Jamal Williams.
They have so many pass catchers that you don't know who's going to get the touchdown.
Yeah, but the people that
get 2 touchdowns.
The thing is, this is why I don't care so much about targets and catches. Is that in some of these offensive
has 1 touchdown?
Yeah, well, that's nice.
1.
That's better than 0.
It's like the old it's like the thing where the guy's on the beach and he throws the starfish back and the guy comes along and he's like, yeah, but there's so many, you just saved that one, and the guy says, well, but to that one it meant everything. So it's like to that one fantasy owner that started Lazard and got that touchdown out of it meant everything.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's just do it real quick. Would you start Raheem Mostert, or would you start Lazard? You got a flex, right?
Man.
How many teams are in this league? That's my flex. 18?
Look, man, you made it because you had really good. You had Lamar Miller, and you had
Lamar Miller.
I mean, Lamar Miller. You had Lamar Jackson.
If you made it riding Lamar Miller, you're my fantasy hero. You know what? There's some team somewhere that stopped playing and had Lamar Miller as their RB2, and they somehow lucked into the playoffs at 6 and 8. And
they drafted Christian McCaffrey and Lamar.
Yes, that's it. They got studs. They got studs around him.
Well, see, you could easily have a team with Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey, and then just tons of dart throws that did terrible,
Mm-hmm.
And you could be in the playoffs now because you just did well on the waiver wire, but you were you're getting by on Adrian Peterson, 1 week.
Yeah. Mostert or Lazard, man. I think I would try to wait and see kind of what if Shanahan says anything about the running back situation later in the week. I don't understand why they continue to run Tevin Coleman. I mean, we've talked about it. Tevin Coleman is not good. He is not good. He is a straight line runner. I traded for him in a couple of leagues when it looked like that Shanahan's scheme was going to be enough, that they were just going to commit to him as their feature back, and the scheme was going to work out well enough for him to get some points. And then he had a couple of good games, and then he was trash, and I got rid of him, fortunately. But I would wait and see. And if he indicates that Mostert's still going to get a good amount of carries, but they're playing the Saints.
Okay. All right. So maybe not.
What about pick up someone on the waiver wire instead? Go get Robbie Anderson.
So
Darius Slayton. Would you play Darius Slayton? Would you pick up Darius Slayton over Lazard? Are we talking about Lazard still?
Well, we can just throw all these guys in there, and actually, I'll throw another guy in there. Actually, I got to see if his teammate is playing this week or not. His teammate is questionable. So the other guy who was a great DFS play last week against a soft Lions defense was Anthony Miller, who is 14%
That's right,
and he had 13 targets. Now he's had last 3 games with Gabriel banged up. Anthony Miller's had 11 targets, 9 targets, and 13 targets. So
he's been great.
He finally did something. Thank you.
He did. So 54 yards, 77, and 140 yards. But they're playing the Cowboys, which is a better pass defense.
Better.
So would you play So you get Slayton, Lazard,
And Anthony Miller.
And let's throw James Washington in there. Put those in an order for me. Slayton, Lazard, Miller, and Washington.
Lazard last. Possibly Washington first because he's got a good matchup and Duck Hodges likes throwing to him. And then after that, Slayton because he's getting targets. And then who are the other two? Lazard and
Miller.
Ooh, Miller.
Miller because he's getting targets. And then even though it's a tougher defense, and then Lazard probably.
I go Washington last, Slayton first.
Washington last.
Yeah,
Jinx.
yeah. I do. I'm not gonna trust Slayton or was it Slaughter, whatever his name
Duck
is.
Hodges.
Duck Hodges. Sorry, I'm trusting
You're
Slayton.
playing
not
Arizona though.
I don't care, dude.
Okay.
That offense could go. I mean, just because it went that way 1 week, you know.
No. 3 out of 4 he's been producing.
Well, but
Duck Hodges.
Duck Hodges only played 1 week,
but that at least shows that they're making an effort to get the ball to Washington.
Yeah, I personally can't trust him, but I do love Slayton, and I feel like he's got the best matchup. And no, who do you think has a better matchup than he is?
Washington against Arizona.
Really?
I mean, look,
Arizona, the better matchup.
No, I mean, just thinking about the game, I feel like Arizona has a better pass rush.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I would probably, I would put Lazard last. The volume's just too low. I would probably say I like Slayton a little bit later in the season against like the Eagles and the Redskins, or I'm sorry, not the Eagles, the Dolphins and the Redskins. The Eagles have just played a little bit better against the pass.
They're healthier
up until they got Fitzmagic. There's all the magic. They just couldn't deal with the magic. So and the other thing too with the Giants offense is there's a lot of targets to spread around. So you've got Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate might be back. I haven't seen his status yet. Barkley's going to get passes. What's Ingram's status? Is he possibly going to? Okay, so he might be back. So I feel like there's more things that could. It maybe if Tate and Ingram are out, I would feel better about Slayton. If they play, I would put him at 3, and then I would just roll the dice on Washington at 1 just because of the matchup, and even though Pittsburgh's passing is questionable, like Arizona's pass defense is questionable. Miller, I like him if, again, it kind of depends on whether or not Gabriel's out. So it really kind of depends on.
If Gabriel's out, where do you put Miller? I'm really curious about Miller because
I'd put him at 2.
Yeah, second.
Yeah.
If Ingram plays, then yeah, second.
I'm thinking DFS, man. Like that would be a good play.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, Miller. No, he's not on the main slate. I guess if you're playing Thursday, right? Because they're playing Thursday.
They're playing Thursday, which
That's
actually
right.
is a good segue because we got 2 important questions in the comments, and someone's been waiting for 20 minutes.
Oh,
real quick. I apologize if I completely butcher this name. Malgasa Saipale. That's the best I got. It says Kyler Murray or Sam Darnold crucial playoff game.
jeez, man. I feel bad for you.
Ouch.
Well, Darnold's at home. I feel okay about Darnold at home. He put up 13 on Miami on the road. I think he can give you 20. I think he can get to 20. It's scary, but
don't you think Murray could get to 20 easier with his running ability? Like he got to 10, and did they score at all? He was the only touchdown, right?
He got a rushing touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I think he could potentially do. Like, I feel safer about Murray
against Pittsburgh instead of Darnold at home against a bad.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
It's tough because
Yeah.
Murray. Yeah,
I would go Fitzpatrick over both of these guys. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I can roll with that too.
If Fitzpatrick is on your waiver wire, do yourself a favor. Don't mess with these guys.
I think both of them will do well this week.
These guys?
I do, yeah. Because I think again, Darnold at home, he's young Big Ben. He's terrible on the road, and he's pretty good at home. Murray has been, of course, the 1 week that I would start him, he would he would be trash against the Rams. But I don't know. You got to look at at home he's played well. His only real that was his worst game at home. He had a tough one against Seattle where he only came up with 17 points. That's still pretty solid earlier in the year. This was his worst game at home against the Rams, and the Rams were coming off of getting embarrassed by Lamar Jackson. So I think he'll bounce back a little bit, but the thing is Pittsburgh tends to limit quarterbacks. They try to play ball control.
That is true.
And so that's kind of what worries me a little bit. And so against
they're vicious rush. You're right.
They do. They've got a good pass rush, and the Rams were getting to him last week. So Pittsburgh's given up the 8th fewest. So I just feel a little bit safer about Darnold. But yeah, Fitzpatrick wouldn't be a bad option either.
All right, 710 asks, is it safe to bench Emmanuel Sanders? Look, I grabbed Emmanuel Sanders in this one league as a just shot in the dark. I was 9-1, and I was like, okay, why not? And then he got 10 points, and then he got 20 points, and then he got injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done it.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's basically it. I mean, part of it depends on who else you have at wide receiver, I think. But on whether it's quote-unquote safe, part of it depends on whether Lattimore plays or not. Part of it depends on whether Jimmy G's 100%. I mean, I don't think it's bad necessarily to bench Emmanuel Sanders. Is it safe? I don't know how to respond to that, honestly.
Is it safe to?
I think if you bench is it safe for you to bench Emmanuel Sanders? Is that too much of a risk?
I think you have to bench him.
Yeah.
He just hasn't done anything in a while, and he's not getting a ton of targets. He finally got back up to 6 in this last game, but that was his most since he had that October 31st Halloween weekend game against Arizona. Mm-hmm. He's had 24, 33, 15, and 41. So I guess he's combined for basically 1 yard more. So I guess he had 112 yards in that game against Arizona, and just my rough math looks like he's had 113 combined in the 4 games since then. So, yeah, I mean, we said it at the time, once he was really getting injured, and once we found out it was a rib injury, it was just don't play him. You're taking too much of a risk, because what happens is when a receiver catches a pass, what do? They get tackled from behind for the most part, and they fall forward. And so it's just constantly going to be getting aggravated. So I just, I don't think you can take a risk on him.
Mm-hmm.
What about
anything to add to that?
No, I was gonna go. What about Enter Zone?
That's what I was gonna finish us off with.
Oh,
what?
So sorry.
Yeah. So Enter Zone, if you're still here, thank you for your patience. I was gonna use this as our clincher, and then we kind of rambled. So this is gonna finish us off for tonight. Who do y'all got on Thursday? The Bears are playing the Cowboys. Something's gotta give. I need to edit that because there's an extra comment there. What do you guys think?
Surely the Cowboys win, right?
So what is the thing? The Cowboys cannot beat teams. They have not beat teams that are having a winning season, right? Something like
Yeah. And what's the Bears record?
that.
500.
500. Oh, so they're right. Yeah. I mean, Zeke Elliott can just run on them, right? I mean, that's how the Cowboys.
We don't have Akeem Hicks, so yeah.
Yeah, nothing would provide me more entertainment than to see the Cowboys lose. Like, I don't hate the Cowboys, but I really have kind of gotten sucked into that, like, every bad thing that happens to the Cowboys is funny mentality. and so the Cowboys are just like an endless source of entertainment. And so I just like seeing them like get their fans' hopes up and then just, crush them. But like they're going to win, right? They're just going to run Ezekiel Elliott, right? I mean, it's hard for me to, I don't know. On the other hand, they lost to the Jets on the road. But the Jets have a pretty good run defense.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're just going to run Ezekiel Elliott and they're going to win. But I would prefer if the Bears beat them.
Yes, thank you. That's the right answer. Judahbuddha.
I forgot to tell you, AJ, I won a little money off your man, the biscuit.
There you go.
I put the biscuit in my DraftKings, and it paid off.
There you go.
Won $10, but
you weren't just being modest when you were saying you won a little bit of money.
I won a little bit of money.
It was just the inflection, though. The inflection that made me think, like, oh, was this like a little,
Yeah. No, $25. It was $10. But anyway, go ahead.
$7 profit.
We're not talking about 50 cents no more. I don't know. I really think it's going to be an entertaining game, right? It's indoors.
No.
I don't worry about.
I thought it was in Chicago. Is it not?
Oh, is it in Chicago?
It's in Soldier.
Oh, it might be cold. It might be just running. Yeah, I think. But here's the thing: is that the Bears could still make the playoffs.
No, don't. To quote Ronan, don't give me hope. Please. Look,
I mean, both
the Vikings and the Seahawks are ahead of us because the 49ers are going to make it and the Seahawks are going to make it. So unless they lose out and the Vikings lose out, we're out. If we were in the NFC East, we would make it because the Cowboys are just going to win because the Eagles are tanking. But
the Cowboys, do they have a chance of making the playoffs?
Yeah, because their division's bad and someone's got to win.
Yeah, like they're favored slightly over the Eagles because of that Eagles loss to the Dolphins.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Keep in mind, the NFC East is so bad that the Redskins statistically have a chance to win if they run the table and a bunch of stupid stuff happens. That's how bad the division is.
See, the Bears just need to, I mean, they'll never be allowed to do this because they've got all those great NFC North rivalries, and the Cowboys have all those great NFC East rivalries. But geographically speaking, like the Bears should just petition to like swap with the Cowboys and move to the NFC East because they're farther east than Dallas.
Yeah, but Dallas
is
way south though. There's no way to get to the NFC North.
Yeah, there's no chance of that happening. But I mean, that's I don't know.
Look, I want the Bears to win, but we're vulnerable against the run. Unfortunately, we gave up 97 yards to Gurley. Howard ran on us. What's it called? Scarborough got 80-ish yards on us.
Hey, don't forget my main man, Laxatives Murray.
Yeah, Latavius Murray burned us on the. That's not your man. That's mine. Latavius Murray burned us on the run. No, I'm talking about my man. So yeah, we're decent. We're pretty vulnerable on the run, but it all depends on how well a dome team can come into Soldier. So
yeah, I mean,
a white Christmas on Thursday.
Yeah, they played. I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be close. I don't like saying that it will be a good game. might not be the best description of it. I think it will be a close game. But I just feel like I don't know. It's really hard to put faith in the Cowboys doing anything because they could just do stupid stuff, and Jason Garrett's going to be over there like clapping all the way.
Will it be a fun game? No. Will it be a good game? Probably not. Will it be interesting to watch? Yes.
That's what makes it fun.
Yes, it will. I am like disproportionately excited about this game.
You're sick, man. You're sick.
It's like, but in a way, I'm excited about it in a way that, like, if you told me that like the Ravens and Chiefs are gonna go play each other, but that Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes can like only throw with their left hand.
So you have a morbid curiosity.
It is 100% a morbid curiosity. I make no illusions about that.
Okay. That's gonna, I think that concludes us for another 2-hour juggernaut of the RotoHackers podcast after we said we were going to be done at 10. It's 10:45, so I'm gonna have to time crunch for the next 25 minutes anyway. If you're still here listening with us, thank you so much. We had a great episode today.
Yeah.
Just as a final plug, because everyone absolutely loves it when people plug things, that is our link right there. And if I can get the share screen button up, if it'll please load for me, like we've said 3 times before, we've got our own T-shirts. Once we reach 100 views on an episode, we're giving away 3 free ones. We got hoodies, we got T-shirts. Let us know. Get to 100. Please tell your parents, tell your friends, tell everyone you know. Get to 100. We'll be giving away 3 free ones live on the stream. We will see you all next time. MathQuest710, thanks for hanging us to the end. And everyone else who hung out with us, we'll see you next time on the RotoHackers podcast. I'm AJ Herschel, also known as The Kid. That over there is Judahbuddha. And the absolute stud, it's Jared. We'll see you guys next time on the RotoHackers podcast.
A little bit of Randy